This book, Bhagavad Gita, is actually talking of yoga, is talking of knowledge, it is talking of dharma. So, because all these things are synonymous. So, be clear about this. So, that's why first thing he starts off is this, who am I? That's the most important thing. And that's what yesterday we talked about it in quite detail, and then established that I can never become God. Krishna very clearly says that there are two types of jivas, one who falls down, other who never falls down. That means he never falls down means what? He does not misuses his independence. Please try to understand. The people who go to jail misuse their independence by doing what? By doing illegal activities. The government is not forcing anyone to do illegal activities. It is us who do legal or illegal activities. So it is not God who's forcing us. He says there are two types of jivas. One is here, who's actually the one who broke the laws, who wants to be independent of me. So Krishna says not possible. You can't be independent of me. Try being independent of me. But then also in the background it is Krishna who's working. Because you can't raise a finger also without his sanction, which I'll be talking today. So he says this very clearly. So there are two types of jivas, one which has fallen and one which never falls. But anya, he used this word, anya. Separate to this, there is a third one, which is me, which is above this, not falling and falling. Remember one thing, not falling also has the word falling. So Krishna is above not falling and falling. Remember, you fall or do not fall. Common word is what? Fall. If you say do not fall, that means there is a tendency to fall. So Krishna says, I am above this, and that's why I am glorified in the Vedas as the supreme person. Very clearly states this statement. Now, so remember one thing, that we are not God. Then I told you yesterday that basically God means who's complete, who's eternal. So if he's complete and eternal, people, because luckily some people are there who are youngsters who have not gone into the philosophy, so they are still much purer. But some of us are there who basically got into the impersonal philosophy, which is called Nirakar. Now sometimes you say that this word Nirakar is there in the Shastras. It is very right. The Nirakar means what? That he doesn't have an Akar like us. What does that Akar mean? Form like us. What does it mean that it doesn't have a form like us? Please remember one thing I told you yesterday. The Bible says that we are made in the image of God. And Vedas also say the same thing, that we are made in the image of God. That means he has a form and we have a form, but you say Nirakar. What does that mean? That means when we have a form, it limits us. What does it do? It limits us. Whereas God's form does not limit him. That's why yesterday I told you that one of the most important qualifications of God is this, that two opposite qualities can exist in him at the same time. He can be limitedly unlimited. And I gave you the example of the Leela, of Damodar Leela, where Yashoda Maiya is trying to tie Krishna, and there's a black thread on his waist, which does not break, but these ropes also fall short by 2 fingers every time. So this is called limitedly unlimited and unlimitedly limited. So that's what Nirakar means. Then some people say, he says Nirgun. Limited means what? This body limits us. For example, if I want to touch a thing, like I want to touch the TV there, can I touch it? I'm limited. But Krishna, no. He can touch it. He can touch it.
Does it also mean that the soul has qualities which are unlimited and it is...
No, sorry. Soul has got nothing. Now, when you're talking about the form, remember one thing I told you yesterday also very clearly. Soul is minute particle. Mam eva amsa. It's an amsha. It is an amsha of Krishna. Amsha means what? Part. And that part is eternal. It was a part, is a part, and will remain a part. If you use the word part and then you say eternal, then you say no. After some time it will become God. That means then your part thing is finished. And that eternity word is wrong. But Krishna says, sorry, Mama eva amsa jiva loke jiva bhuta, and he words uses sanatana. Sanatan means eternal. So the soul is eternal. But when it is minute and it is independent also, then also soul is a part. And this body as such makes it limited, more limited, because this body is actually the bondage of the soul. Now try to understand one thing. When the soul, when it is in bondage, is so active. So when it gets liberated, will it be active or inactive? I do not know. Sometimes people think, no, activity will finish. Why? When I am in bondage, I am active. For example, when you die, what happens? The soul leaves the body becomes inactive, right? So that means who's the reason for activity? The soul. The body is not the reason. So when it is in bondage, then it is active. So when it becomes independent, what should it be? Very active, fully active, complete. At that particular point of time, it should be able to show its full glories of its activity. And what is that glories? Part's glory is to serve the whole. As I told you yesterday, everyone is serving someone or the other because our basic position is of a das. That's why it is stated, Jivare Swarup Hai Krishna Re Nitya Das. The Swarup of Jiva is to be Nitya Krishna Ka Das, to be servant of Krishna, which we'll be talking later on when we take up the yoga on the 7th day. I'll talk about it in detail. So we go ahead. I repeated this because it's very, very important.